That's why you shouldn't make a plan. What's going on, everybody? This is the Cover Band Confidential Podcast, a podcast for cover band musicians and band leaders to learn how to rock more and suck less. Here in Atlanta, Georgia, I am Adam Johnson.
Here in Greensboro, North Carolina, I'm Dan Ray.
Hey, it's just a you and me episode.
It's a you and me episode.
You know, it's
just the two of us. We can make it. It would
my part's just the two of us. That was my part.
Perfect.
So yeah, it's been a while since we've done one of those.
It has.
I think it have been a while. I did something that I may not have, should have done. I went back and started listening. You know, we say this to all of our listeners. Go back to the beginning and listen from episode 1.
We do.
And I'm noticing a few things. First of all, one of the things that I do like is like episode 1, like some stuff has already been like, we were laying a groundwork that still very much applies here.
Yeah.
The thing that I can't unhear is the voice that I'm doing for some reason. So if you go back to the beginning, there's this part where I'm like, hey, everybody, this is like, I'm intentionally like talking low. And I normally talk like that. And I obviously don't do that anymore. But I feel like at some point I was just either, it was because we were upstairs and I was trying not to be loud or whatever. But like, it sounds totally different and it's totally foreign and sounds super weird.
It's hilarious.
So the content's good, but like, man, it's just one of those things.
It's been a minute, but I have listened back to those early ones and it's true. I mean, I think we came out of the gate with strong content and real weak production values.
You know,
we've learned.
I guess we flip-flopped.
Yeah, it must be.
I did. I got a second light for my rig. So now I've got 2 ring lights. So for those of you who are tuning into the live stream, by the way, we stream this live basically every week on Facebook, and then it goes live on YouTube. But I don't have like the rings around my eyes anymore because now I have 2 ring lights and they're on opposite sides of me. So
yeah,
it feels more realistic. I don't know. My background may look better. I don't know.
It's unlikely that you get the Northern Lights in Atlanta. That's not a common. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
But yeah. So what have you been up to, man?
Well, a few things. You know, I now have. I'm kind of forcing myself to do a weekly live stream on Friday nights, and it's been fun. The last one, I always feel like I could fill a whole show with like Talking Heads and Sting and Radiohead, and then, but who would come to that, right? It's not what they want. Well, I declared I was doing that. I just was doing that. So I did a show that was 5 or 6 Radiohead tunes, and then a bunch of Sting Police, and then a bunch of Talking Heads, and then a bunch of Beatles. And it was fun. It was fun to go deep on some of my favorite artists, and it was a good time. I won't do that every time because for sure it was a selective audience that showed up for that. But
that's not a bad thing. You know, you kind of get the opportunity to like cater to like the nichiest of your niche.
Sure, totally. Yeah, and it was a good time.
Yeah, you can definitely, you know, take those opportunities to do that at like for a live stream because you're basically the restaurant that you're playing at. Yeah. So the likelihood of you pissing off your customers is lower.
Hey, and nobody's asked me to turn down in like months.
I mean, that's good. I mean, it doesn't mean that it doesn't happen. Like you could be loud at your house and somebody could call the cops on you. I mean,
well,
that can happen.
Yeah. And I also have to have my stream time be bedtime compliant because I do have a 7-year-old trying to.
So as far as gigs go, I haven't done any. So we were going to have this conversation about risk reward, and the conversation kind of went nowhere because the gig immediately got canceled the second after it was confirmed.
Yeah.
So maybe that's a conversation for another time.
I would think. Yeah, I did today receive a deposit on a wedding in May of next year.
Okay.
So that seems like it has potential to actually happen.
Yeah, it could happen.
Could very. I mean, who knows what could happen? But that seems likely. Actually, at this point, I'm not going to say that. It doesn't. It's scheduled. That's what I can say about it is it's scheduled.
That's all you really can say. I mean, for all we know, that you know, by this time next year, we'll be like, dude, remember that?
Yeah. Glad that's over.
Money falling on us.
That's right.
You know, that would be. Let's just go with that one.
Let's have that.
Let's just say that's how it's going to go.
Yeah, let's have that be how it turns out.
We'll be too busy counting our money.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm drinking a mango bubbly this evening because we had tacos for dinner, and I had a michelada, which I don't know. Do you know what that is?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lovely little kind of beer mimosa. Not really a mimosa. It's more like a bloody
Beery.
Yeah. But yeah, it was good.
Yeah. I've polished off a Tiny Umbrella's cab here.
Schmancy.
Which is lovely.
Sounds lovely.
I am I'm trying to I'm a beer guy. I'm trying to take it easy on beer because I'm now a large beer guy.
Right.
Because that's what beer
tend to go together.
That's what beer does to me. So
it's what beer does to most people.
True. Hence the belly. There's a belly name for it.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go.
We've been dealing with birthday week for our 10-year-old.
Nice.
Trying to make like a 10-year-old's like double-digit crossover event like memorable is a bit of a challenge when you can't do a whole lot.
Right.
So lots of eating. Amber made this ridiculous like 6-layer caramel cake with like real caramel in between each. Let's just say my new membership it lasts through October, and that's not a bad thing.
Yeah. Well, we had the 7th birthday here last week too, and my brothers-in-law sent one of them sent a pair of stilts, and the other sent a pogo stick. So it's like ER starter kit.
Beep, beep, beep,
yeah, circus baby. We do call her circus baby. Yeah.
So what our son wanted a bike, and I was like, piece of cake. We'll get him a bike. No, you cannot get bikes right now.
Really?
I don't know if anybody has like gone anywhere to like a store, but like there are no bikes to be had.
Wow.
We went to eight different like big box retailers, fully masked up. Not a bike to be had. Not a one.
Wow.
It was really strange.
Yeah.
Especially in, I guess, our culture where we're just used to like, I want a thing and I have money and I will buy it and I shall have that.
Yeah.
It was not the case.
How dare that not exist?
It was, I mean, having to like level with your soon to be 10-year-old, like, listen, bud, I want to get you a bike, but I can't get you a bike that does not exist. So we ended up actually finding one on Amazon, and it's going to be here in like a week and a half. So, say what you want about Amazon, but they were the only ones who came through.
Yeah, and I will just say that stilts and pogo sticks make pretty good. It's not a bike.
I used to be really great at pogo sticking.
Oh yeah,
pogoing. I don't know what the verb of it.
Sticking.
But like, I could like tie a thing around like my waist and like jump on the pogo stick without using my hands and like juggle things.
All right. I used to be quite a good stilter.
I'm sure I walked on stilts at some point. I just don't like. Are they the ones with like where you have like the handles like you put under? Okay.
Yeah.
Because like now they have like the drywall stilts. Those are pretty sweet.
Those are sweet.
That's what like the pros are using, and they look pretty easy to like maneuver around in.
Yeah, they'll have like big feet, and they're like not just one stick; it's a whole.
Well, they articulate, so like the toes flex. It's pretty cool.
It is cool.
I don't know, guys. Welcome to Stilt Talk.
This is going great.
The new spin-off podcast that we have started.
Episode 114. They articulate.
And stilt aficionados and stilt friends. You can find us at stiltmasters@ymail.com. We might as well. Like, what else are we going to talk about? We're a podcast for musicians to play music in a world where you can't play music the way that we normally do. Yeah. So we might as well do our spinoff. Oh, speaking of spinoffs, that whole thing I was talking about the last time about Creative Confidential, already taken.
Yeah.
Gotta come up with a new idea.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Fun new challenge, something to do.
Yeah. Well, I did do a thing. Here's a thing. We'll just pivot right into it.
Do it.
So I had this last week off of work, and so we staycationed. We stayed around the house, and I actually had a kind of an important work thing happening, so I only didn't work for some of each day. But technically, I was off. And one of the things that I had been thinking about and looking at for a while is Billboard chart data.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know about you, but when I'm thinking about set lists, I will dip back into the chart history from the 80s or 90s or whatever. And I know you have preserved those. You have
Oh
folders
yeah,
full of those things.
yeah. I have a full spreadsheet of every. I think the Billboard Top 100 for every year, and then I've done some manipulation and tried to kind of come up with some empirical data out of the raw data. BPMs and whether they're duets or where they charted and that kind of thing. So yeah.
Right. Well, I've never. I've prior to my current gig, I was a 20-year software engineer, web developer, and manager and whatnot. So my skills are super, super rusty. But in this last week, I managed to get to the API for Billboard data and pull down the entire Hot 100 chart going back to 1957.
Okay.
Yeah, and join it up with the Spotify API's song features data, which includes fields like danceability, energy, tempo, acousticness, liveness, speechiness, valence, which is a measure of like positive or negative feeling.
Okay.
Um, so I sucked all this data down to a database on my computer here, and I built a little web application that navigates all these things and attempts to, the goal is to find hidden gems that you just need to cover because what the point of covering music is that when you start a song, the whole room's like, oh my God, I love that song. And I haven't heard it in 20 years.
Yeah.
Um, and so digging through all this data and looking at these reports and charts and graphs and things I'm making, it has reminded me of some things I need to cover. Roll with it, Steve Winwood.
Yeah.
Right?
I feel like we had wanted to add it, but like the track that was on karaoke version was just hot garbage. Like it was like really bad. Like the words in the chorus and the background vocals were like straight up wrong. It was "Rock with It, Baby." Like it was really bad.
That is really bad.
Yeah, it's not great.
Let's see what else.
But like, yeah, I mean, any Steve Winwood is going to kill.
Totally.
Going all the way back, Spencer Davis Group.
Mm-hmm.
Give me some. He was 15 years old when they recorded that.
I know.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. What else did I add? Eyes Without a Face, Billy Idol.
Eyes Without a Face.
I love it so much. This is all for my acoustic show I'm going to do tomorrow. And Tears for Fears, Head Over Heels.
Yes, that's a good one.
So
did that one chart higher than Everybody Wants to Rule the World or Shout?
Let's find out.
So basically, what Dan is kind of getting around, as far as talking about that, he's basically come up with a way to compile and manipulate the existing Billboard and Spotify data in order to intelligently create or find songs to add to your set lists. It's kind of ingenious. He gave me a link to it, and I've been messing around with it. The data is really impressive.
Yeah, and I think our plan here for tonight is we're going to record the podcast because a podcast is an audio thing. And then when we are complete with that, we'll hang out on the live stream and demo this a little bit and kind of walk through it. And then we'll post that part on YouTube.
So if you don't subscribe to our YouTube channel, you really should. We put these episodes every single week, as well as a bunch of supplemental content, including we posted a cover a little while ago. I don't know if you guys saw, but Justin Hawkins from The Darkness saw the cover that we did and reacted to it, like sent a video, which is insane.
Super cool.
So that we posted that this week, and just kind of little bite-sized things that we may not necessarily cover during the weekly episodes. So if you haven't already, check it out, youtube.com/coverbandconfidential.
To answer your earlier question, Head Over Heels peaked at number 3.
Okay.
Everybody Wants to Rule the World and Shout both peaked at number 1. And then Sowing the Seeds of Love 4 years later hit number 2. And those are the big things to talk about for Tears for Fears.
For sure. I just didn't like Head Over Heels. To me, feels like not the obvious choice, but like the data doesn't lie.
It's killing.
It's literally like on the level.
Yep.
And to say that it's the less successful one because it only made it to number 3.
Oh, right.
You know, that's saying something.
Anyway, so I've built this thing, and contemplating what to do with it. It's certainly a nice tool for myself. Right now, it's running on the server in the corner of my office here. Only people who know the magic IP address can get to it. But I'd be interested in knowing, those of you listening, if such a thing would be of any value to the cover band world at large, and if that'd be something that anybody would contribute to the operating of. Anywhere I would put it that's not over in the corner of my office is going to cost some money. So,
sure.
Yeah,
I mean, as soon as he sent me the link and I started going like messing around with it, I was like, oh yeah, you could charge money for this.
Its UI is pretty Stone Age at the moment. It would need some.
Well, the meat is there, and it doesn't necessarily have to be pretty to be useful.
That's true.
In this kind of sense.
That's true.
That could be a totally that's a totally different story for another day.
Right. Yeah. It's very much a thing that's more about utility than looks. Not that it looks terrible. I've brought in some charting and graphing components that are fine.
What I saw, I did not hate.
Yeah, well, that's good.
There you go.
Yep. Anyway, so that's working, and I'm finding some fun new things in there, and also discovering some current items that probably need to be covered. The item that's currently on the chart that is most crushing it is Circles by Post Malone, which has been on the chart since early October.
Yeah.
And it's at number 18 last week. I don't have this week's chart in yet. Taylor Swift dropped a huge album, and it's
folklore.
Yeah. I haven't heard it yet, but apparently it's killer.
Looks like a black metal album.
Nice.
It's like lots of like her in forests. I was like, man, this thing looks dark. I don't think it's as dark as as it looks.
Hard to know with Taylor. Anyway,
dude, this whole idea is really groundbreaking. I mean, for those of us, we have spent, I don't know how many episodes we have talked about, song selection being a bit of a dark art. We just kind of pulled the curtain back on this whole thing. And now we realize that a lot of the stuff that we were kind of like thinking was kind of, ooh, I figured something out. It's kind of clever. Like, no, it's concrete. It's very like, there's empirical data to back it up.
Yeah.
This could potentially be a game changer for song selection. Like I'm not trying to, be hyperbolic, but it's a big deal in my opinion.
Thank you. I registered some domain names. I don't know what my favorite is. I think I'm leaning towards setlistassistant.com.
Okay. That's not bad.
Yeah, it's all right. What did you just say? Song selection automation? Song selection? I'll have to listen back. You said something that made me think of that because it might be an even better name.
Empirical. I did say empirical.
You did say empirical. That wasn't thinking.
Song AI.
Oh.
Setlist AI.
Oh. Good. I'll have to get some AI in there. There currently is none.
Well, but people don't know that. It's marketing.
It's marketing.
Is AI like a URL extension? Like a setlist.ai?
I don't know. Yeah, I think it is.
Could be. Something to think about.
If so, those domains cost $1 billion, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. Probably. It's got to be super, super like specific and weird.
Right.
Yeah, like Dan Ray's set list.
Phantasmagoria.
Yeah. .co.uk.
I was going to say .ca.
Yeah. Canadian. .za.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. .tv.
Hey man. I think there's some there.
Yeah. The only thing that it doesn't do, it is the Hot 100. So it's all pop, right? Radiohead's barely on it. Nirvana is barely on it, right? There's like some game-changing stuff that is iconic music that you can't not know, that you would not know existed from looking at the charts.
Well, yeah. And, from digging through the charts themselves, a lot of the stuff that like, we consider kind of timeless, like absolute no-brainers, aren't necessarily like the cream as far as like
totally
10, top 5. Like some of these never, got above, 20, 30,
Yeah.
but still became these timeless songs.
Yeah. The other thing that's really interesting is that, I didn't expect this. I did not expect it. I just didn't think about it. The average chart run in weeks has tripled from the late 50s to now. Tripled from about 7 weeks to about 20. And so I built this score. I tried to, based on a chart trajectory that a song has, do some math and add it up, and based on how high it reached and how long it lasted, and some kind of algorithm that could, at the end of the day, dump out a number and you could rank them. But it was totally dominated by the last couple of years because those songs were much longer on the chart than, back in the 60s and 70s, much longer. So I had to, I built some math to normalize that score by the average duration of chart time per year for the year. So I just kind of did some fancy math to try to even that all out. And I think I did okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think as far as that goes, you wouldn't necessarily be looking at like the span of the entire. You would be looking at like blocks,
right.
So decade to decade, or like an era, where that may not necessarily make as big of a difference. But it is smart to kind of account for those kinds of things, because I mean, data itself has changed, and the way that we consume things has changed. I feel like if nothing else, the reporting has probably gotten way better, because now we have digital, footprints of all of these, all these files going in and out. So
for sure,
that's at least,
yeah, definitely true. Definitely true. Now, you had a Harry Styles tune that you liked a lot.
I did.
Adore
it
You.
Is, yeah, Adore You, which is, at least in our market, is pretty heavily saturated on the radio.
Yeah.
And I only listen to the radio because I have a 10-year-old who hates everything we listen to. So
yeah.
I listen to Dua Lipa every 14 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, well, she's on the radio big time now too. So that one peaked at number 6 in April, and it's number 15 now. But I will tell you, Watermelon Sugar might be my call for radio tune of the summer.
Yeah, for sure.
That one's huge.
And I think that's why I like the other one better.
Yeah. Do you do, in terms of song selection, when you're doing a solo acoustic show, I mean, we know we kind of have talked over a lot our electric stuff, full band stuff, but when you're doing solo acoustic, do you try to include stuff that's on the radio now?
If I can. I've got a bunch of like ones I can pull out, but like I don't keep up a whole lot. I probably I could definitely do a better job of that. But in this case, that was just one of those songs that, like, when it came on the radio, like, I didn't turn it down, I turned it up.
Mm-hmm.
So like it was literally, the day before I did my last acoustic thing, I just popped it into my Ultimate Guitar app just to see if I could go through it, and played it once at the beginning, just to like check levels and see if I could get like the melody and stuff under it. And like a bunch of cougars walked by and they were like, "Woo, good song!" And I was like, "Well, I guess I'm doing that one later."
That's a keeper.
It was like immediate feedback. That's exactly what I was looking for. So, I could probably do a better job of it, but yeah, if I can, I will. But like, I'm doing stuff from like all over the place. I'm doing like, I'll do, all I have to do is dream, and I'll do Beatles, and I'll do stuff from all whenever.
Yeah.
70s, 80s, 50s, 90s. Now, covering a lot of ground.
Yeah, me too. Me too. A couple months ago, I added "Girl from Ipanema," so that was my biggest out of genre jump.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's the thing that's funny for me is that like I end up just doing the stuff again. Like, you don't necessarily, the stuff that you would normally skip over is the stuff that people want to hear. Like, I don't want to play Margaritaville, but everybody else wants to hear me play it. Yeah. So just do that.
Yeah.
Just play Margaritaville.
That really is the thing with song selection. It's not about you.
Well, and that's why, I was saying like the whole live stream thing is kind of great, because you can be like, you know what, this one's just for me.
Yeah.
And, if people like it, they like it. And if they don't, they can just move on.
You watch those live numbers just drop.
Yeah. It's not like you're sitting, people are sitting down for dinner and you're about to like subject them to your like artistic wankery.
Right.
So
Right. Band name. I'm calling it Artistic Wankery.
I'm sure it's probably out there already.
Sure.
I'd be surprised if it wasn't. Well, guys, I don't have much else to cover other than I got a guitar in the shop that found out that the nut was wrong, and it's gonna be another 2 weeks before I get it back.
Which one?
The Explorer. I ended up getting a tusk nut for it, but like it's a weird dimension, and the right one was the wrong size, and then the right size was the wrong color, so I ended up having to take them both back. So, oh well. It's not like I have anywhere to play.
Right. No, this is the time to have those things need work.
Yeah, for sure.
So I have a gig next week.
Okay.
Saturday. Week from tomorrow, and week from what day is today? We're recording on a Thursday, so it's week from this Saturday. And it's at Odin Brewing, which is a place we played before. It's with Taylor, and we're going to be on opposite sides of the stage. Oh, here's the thing I wanted to chat about. I've always been jealous when you show up to an outdoor gig and it's 1,000,000,000 degrees and your drummer shows up with a fan.
Oh.
Smart.
Yeah.
Smart.
But I don't have that problem because I always bring one.
Well, I'd be jealous of you then, because I never think to. I just show up and sweat.
Mine's running right now.
Yes, you keep it.
Because it's not the Aurora Borealis. It's the air mover.
I see. Yeah. Well, so here's what I kind of thought. This stage that I'm going to be on is plenty wide, and Taylor and I can set up plenty far apart and be social distance while we sing. I have no concern about that. But what if I had, and it'll be hot. If it doesn't rain us out, it'll be hot. What if I had 2 air movers sitting mid-stage, blowing across us?
Okay.
Right? One blowing my way, one blowing her way, further isolating our airspaces.
Yep. And potentially blowing your aerosol like at an angle away from the people directly in front of you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the idea. So we're going to try that, and as a side benefit, it will keep us cool.
So typically when I set mine up, I put it behind me, blowing squarely kind of like in the middle of my back.
Makes sense.
One, it kind of it keeps you cooler, and it's a continuous spray. It also doesn't tend to hit the microphone. So that's my 2 cents. Now, for the 80s thing, you put it right in front of you because, if your hair is blowing in the wind, that's a value add, not a a takeaway.
Yeah,
so.
It's a cool thing. Yeah, we'll have to experiment with it. I don't know. It'll be. I just think it's worth trying, and now I don't have to be jealous anymore. I can just bring a fan.
Well, the other cool thing about these is that they have power built into them with like surge protection.
Right.
So
right.
They're functional in that sense. Did you end up getting the Lescos, or have you not ordered them yet?
I did. I got 2 Lescos. Not the model number that you have. Those I couldn't find anywhere, but some Lescos that were on Amazon for $80 a piece or something.
I've got 2 different ones. I've got a smaller Lasco, and then the one that I sent you was, I think, the 9009 is the model, and it is the bigger of the 2. But they both were great.
Yeah.
If you don't have any, I'm not talking fans. You need to get an air mover.
Air mover.
They are fantastic, and I don't know how people have functioned without them up to this point.
Well, I barely have, but soon I will know the error of my ways.
Yes, you will. Yeah. For sure. Well, I'm so happy for you because I think that's going to, it really does make doing summertime gigs remotely tolerable.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's the one of the most important gear buys I think I've ever made. So
wow, that's okay.
I'm not blowing smoke
but
that's
you could with your air mover.
I could, for sure. Absolutely could do that.
That's good. I mean, I've always said that my rock and roller cart was my favorite equipment purchase ever, but I'm willing to have the air mover take its place.
The air mover on the rock and roller.
I love it.
It's the pinnacle.
There you go.
Can't get no higher.
Can't get no.
So I will say this: the gig that I was offered 2 gigs, but one of the conditions was they wanted somebody who could loop. And I really was looking at these and the amount of money they were going to pay as the incentive to be all right, that's it. I'm going to get a looper set up, and I'm going to get this thing under me. The first one again got canceled. There's another one in play. It's towards the end of September, so I'll have to see if it ends up happening. But that might be my next foray is really digging into setting up looping and that kind of thing.
Cool. It's something I've always wanted to do. I haven't practiced enough to be able to catch the end of the loop properly.
Yeah, and there's a couple of, I already technically own 3 loopers. I've used them for that purpose, but I have been looking at some of them that are a bit more dummy proof, because some loopers are very unforgiving. They're like, nope, you missed that cue, and we're gonna let you know about it over and over and over.
Each time.
But yeah, the closer that kind of comes to fruition, that might change up.
Yeah.
Another thing is just working on like some YouTube ideas, and then maybe doing another cover, another song that I've just slowly become obsessed with, that I just want to like get out of my system and move on.
Do you want to tease what that is?
I don't think I need to. When it comes out, I'll definitely, make a big stink about it. But it's not like a song that I would say is like super like well known.
Okay.
I feel like screaming, just to do.
Okay.
We shall see.
Very good.
Well, guys, that's all that we got for this week. Thank you again for tuning in. If you want to support us, there's a bunch of ways of doing that. First thing you could do is you could leave us a rating on the platform of your choice. We got some really nice ratings recently. We got a couple of not nice ones. So it means that we definitely hit a certain level of prominence, that people go out of their way to say not nice things about us. That's,
we'll read some mean tweets at some point.
Oh yeah, we just got to compile. So if you want to just post a really mean one, that technically would help as well as far as content generation. So
yeah, go 5 stars and then super mean.
Yeah, for real. You can support us on Patreon. We got a Patreon account. If you don't feel like doing the whole monthly thing, we have a PayPal account. If you want to just buy us a beer, you could definitely do that. It's like our virtual tip jar or whatever. We also do have merch. I can leave a link for that in the show notes. And of course, you can subscribe to all of our different channels on Facebook and YouTube and Twitter and Instagram and all that good stuff. So thank you guys again for tuning in. From Atlanta, Georgia, I am Adam Johnson.
From Greensboro, North Carolina, I'm Dan Ray.
You've been listening to the Cover Band Confidential Podcast, episode 114. 114. Have a great week.
Thank you so much for tuning into our podcast. If you want to help us, be sure to share us with your friends, follow us on social media, and if you haven't already, please leave a review for us on the podcast platform of your choice. Facebook.com/CoverbandConfidential, Instagram @CoverbandConfidential, and Twitter @CoverbandConfid. If you have any questions, please email us at coverbandconfidential@gmail.com, and consider supporting us on Patreon, patreon.com/CoverbandConfidential. And for more info, check out www.coverbandconfidential.com.